Philip, I'm directing this question to you to start us off, because that's what you do. But Richie and Rob, I want, you please feel free to come in as you will with this idea of, can you teach someone emotional intelligence? What would you say?
The short answer is definitely yes. And actually, Rob, I don't know Rob actually, so sorry, I don't want to not embarrass. Hope I don't embarrass him. But actually, something Rob said there, which I thought was really important, and it also touches on languages, and language is important here as well. Rob was giving an example before where he said there are situations, could be in the kitchen or whatever, where you do need to, give instructions. And he said, I just want you, please do it, and I'll explain later. There's a big difference between, do it and please do it and I'll explain later. So that's an example of emotional intelligence for me in action. So, definitely that's the case. But the way you learn as well from what Rob said was, maybe earlier and this is probably the same for all of us, early in our careers, we recognise that, maybe things aren't working properly and, people aren't responding to us in the way that we want to. And I think this is where the self-reflection comes in. And if you can, this is about very much understanding that what drives our behaviour is our emotions. So how we feel about a situation often will drive how we respond. So being able to recognise those emotions and also recognise the impact that our behaviour, which is driven by our emotions, is having on others. These are key elements of self-reflection that people people can have, and this is how people can grow in terms of their management style. And as you say, that's one of the areas that I work on with people is through coaching, which is different to mentoring, insofar as what I do is I help people find their own answers, because change comes from within. So it's no good really me saying, well, let me just tell you how other people feel about you, because that's probably just going to create a bit of conflict between the two of us and put the person very much on the defensive. Whereas if I can use some questioning and get them to really reflect and to say, well, actually, I can see how that person reacted that way in that situation. And maybe there was a different way that I could respond. And once we have that sort of magic moment, that's fantastic for me, because that's real learning. And it's so much better if people can identify it themselves, then there's much more chance they'll do something about it. So,
So it's coaching, and it's and the critical, from what I'm hearing from you, is a critical element here is this reflection, is this ability to go away and think about me and what I'm doing.
Reflection and self-awareness, and sometimes it's difficult because we tend to respond in the moment. Again, this is this idea of we respond to different situations, and if we can, so something happens and we tend to respond straight away with a sort of an immediate response. Now, if we can learn to maybe just put a bit of a space there and just to think, okay, let me just think about this and just reflect a little bit, and then we can give much more of a considered, response. And again, I think this is that sort of gap between the stimulus and response is the essence of emotional intelligence, really.